We are here.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening and happy Thursday.
Turn up. Thursday pre-weekend. We here
Yeah,
now. We
we
here.
are here. We are here. We are excited. It's been a week. We have a great topic. We're waiting for everybody to come in. We're live on Instagram. Things are thingsing. Things are going well. So, how was your week, twins? I pray the weather's better for you than it's been for us.
Oh yeah, the weather's been. Whew, what's today? Today is Thursday, so the weather's good. It's warming back up. But beginning of this week, Monday, my son got soccer. We're back at soccer again, so we're back at that now. But man, it was like 39 degrees when I first got at practice. It was at 7:30. It ain't black people time. It's supposed to start at 7:30. We ain't start till 8 o'clock. So that means practice was from 8 to 9. Man, by the time we got there, it was like 34 degrees. It was cold. I was on the sideline shaking, trying to stay warm. Everybody in the car, the dad's out there, holding it down. You know what I'm saying? But besides that, besides that day, it's been warm. It's trending up. It's gonna be 60 something, I think. We're good. Listen, this is why I moved to the south for this weather. Matter of fact, today was a high of 63 today. And then
Love that.
tomorrow, hold on, let me see. Let me take a look at the calendar and see my palm pound. You know what I'm saying? See what
Not
it's
the Palm Pilot.
right before you can
Not the
generation.
old people words.
You'll never know. Oh yeah, it's gonna be 66 on Friday. And then
Love that
by
for you.
Sunday, 71. You know what? I'm sorry. Sorry. How are you
I
doing? How's the weather up your way? How you doing?
Not that it's cold,
Mm, darn
and
it.
that's all I need to say. I don't even need to say negative anything. It's negative. It's
Uh,
negative. Even though we're in Celsius, you're in Fahrenheit. It's still a negative. Like it's negative something. Nothing for you to talk about. However, in 4 weeks, I will be on the beaches of Tulum. Mexico is going to see me. I know that there's stuff going on, but my flight hasn't been canceled yet, so I'm holding out hope that I will be on the beaches of Tulum, living my best life. Me and my daughter on a mother-daughter trip. So I'm just, that's where I'm at. I'm on the beaches of Tulum. And can I say, I told twins before we jumped on. I haven't worn this dress I'm sitting in comfortably since my birthday in 2022. So it has been almost 4 years, 3.5 years since I have put on this dress, and I put it on and zipped it up, and I felt great. Okay. So let me
okay.
say, I feel fantastic. I have not worn it for 3.5 years. So you know what? Hallelujah. God is good and all the time. He is good. So yes, I am very excited for myself tonight as I sit in this dress, able to cross my legs. So it's the
Ladies
small things for me.
we didn't plan this neither. We didn't plan the blue. It just happened our way. I literally just threw this on right before the show got started. I was like, what wear today? Oh, you know what? This shirt right here. Boom. That's it.
Telling you, we don't plan anything. Just so you guys know, when we get on this show, we don't even talk about what we're gonna say. It just comes out. It is, because it's natural. We do what we do. And as for my week, it has been busy. It's been a busy week. It has been busy, and it's going to continue to be busy. But busy is not bad. I prefer when things are busy and we're going. We're heading into very much our busy season. Our award show is like 3 months away. Yeah, basically, yeah. 3 months from now, we will be headed into our award show. So it is going to be amazing. Speaking of award shows, did
Uh,
you guys hear what happened at the BAFTAs?
the who?
Okay, so the BAFTAs is basically the British version, more like the European version of the Oscars. So
Okay.
our show is the Canadian version of your American Oscars, and the BAFTA is the basically British European version of the Oscars. And there was an incident that happened where Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo
Oh
were
yeah.
on stage, and the person said the N word and B word combined. Um, Now, just to give you some insight on how that works, that show was not live, apparently. It was a pre recorded show. And our company has done the same thing where we basically recorded our show and then literally a couple of hours later it airs. And in every award show, there is what we call an issues protocol person or people that watches the show for any incidents like this. And they will mark the time. They're basically in a group chat and they say, at this time, this happened. And it states to the production that that needs to be taken out of the show, right? Because the only people who would have heard it are the people who are actually in the auditorium who are there live for the show. So by the time it gets to the editing bay, which happens, like we've done it where the turnaround was like an hour and a half. Like we finished at say 6:30 and our show was on at 8 o'clock, but they go in there, edit it. So I say all of that to say it was chosen not to edit that part out, right? Because they edit out someone saying free Palestine, but they chose to keep that piece in. And I find it interesting. And of course, they chose to keep it in because I think it's controversial. We're talking about it. You didn't know who the BAFTAs were until I just explained it. But I think it speaks a lot. And a lot of people are getting mad at the broadcaster. And yes, the broadcaster has a responsibility, but it's also the awards body. Like our production is our production. We are the ones who determine what's on air, what's shown. When it's live, we have a 10-second delay. And when it's live, there's only so much you can control, but there is a 10-second delay in terms of what we are experiencing in our seats and then what you get to see on TV. And even then you have time to like production literally has time to like, oh, we're going to take that piece out. But when you're in the editing bay, you definitely have enough time to take it out. So shame on the BAFTAs for keeping that in. And now I'm interested to see what happens at the Oscars. Anyways, that's just a little insight into that world. The end.
If you didn't know, if you don't know, now you know.
Now you know. I'm a wealth of information. You know, I do what I can. Anywho, the topic. Welcome everybody. We definitely want full participation because, as you know, our show is for big grown people, people who are looking to be married, people who have been married and divorced, and people who are still married. And now that we are definitely up in age, kids is a huge part, right? There are a lot of us who have children that are dating, who are looking to remarry, and children are a huge part of relationships. And I think it's something that's sometimes overlooked when people are dating in terms of how do you incorporate your children into this new life that you are building. What are the rules? You know, are you going with the flow? Who sets the rules? There's, you know, all of these questions that happen. Now, with me, my daughter is much older, but I will say when she was a little younger, I felt that I had some trepidations about dating. I did not necessarily introduce, not even did not necessarily, I did not introduce a bunch of people to her because I didn't think that was necessary until we were serious. It was not anything that I needed to bring around my daughter, and especially around a little girl. She's always had her father around, so I didn't need to find a new male role model or a new daddy. It was never stepdaddy season over here because she had a dad, and she had a very, very active dad. And so I was always cautious and careful because I understood the psychological impact that introducing someone too soon or the wrong person could have on her. But now that my daughter's older, if you're new here, I have a 24-year-old. You know, she just is looking forward to mommy getting married and finding a good man. However, if I'm dating someone with younger children, the rules are different. So I'm going to actually send it over to you, twins. You are back in your dating and you do have slightly younger children. How do you navigate that?
Yeah. So I have a soon to be 14-year-old daughter, and my son just turned 12. So, you know, they're pre-teenish, preteen, whatever you want to call it. But yes, I have two young ones. Now, I think it's a little different with men in most cases, right? But it still have to be very delicate and gentle how you handle it, right? You don't want to introduce a bunch of new people around your kids all the time, and especially if you have a daughter, you don't want to have that revolving door happening, right? It does set the tone on both sides, my end and of course on her mama's side, and even my son too. I gotta let some love know too that you just can't be out here wilding out, right? So with that being said, I've been divorced going on 2 years now, right? And even though I have dated multiple women since the divorce, my children only has met one lady, and that's one that's really a little bit more serious with. But when that happens, see that's the tricky part, right? And it's really based on how serious relationship is, right? When I was a young single guy who had no kids, I was living my best life. And of course, I was dating ladies, and some ladies had kids. That always kind of irked me a little bit as far as how soon I will meet their kids.
Mm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't even know me enough to feel comfortable for me to be even around your kids. Now, granted, I always been a good dude, a stand up dude, so I never had no problems. But it's the fact that if week one we're talking XYZ and I'm meeting your kids already, that's a problem.
No, week one.
Week one, week one, week one.
No,
Oh,
no,
so
no.
hey, this is Mr.
No, no.
D and da 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 da. I'm like, if I meet your kids on week one, imagine how many other men has met these kids during week one, or if not sooner. And do you really sit back and think and what that does to the kid as well?
Correct.
Let's see if they do have an active father or active mother, vice versa, whatever situation is. That that's a big deal. And even though I still talk to you ladies, but I knew at that young age, I knew it wasn't going anywhere because they already had kids. So I know this is gonna be for fun right now. But um it just didn't set a good vibe for me. I'm like, already you bringing another man around your kids already? So in my head, I was thinking like, damn, if I mess with you and I get you pregnant, and then let's say we don't work out, how many men you gonna have around my kids
Mm.
already out the gate so soon? And there's multiple stories I've heard that girls will go to work and leave their kids home with this guy, whatever.
New stranger.
Strange
Stranger man.
things will happen, and sometimes to the kids or the house or XYZ. And it's like you can't trust everybody around your kids, because those are the precious moments. There's things you just can't get back. You can't change or reset anything that's happened. So you have to be very careful. And then wrap it all up into dating, right? That's the whole thing we're talking about now is dating. It is very tricky. It is case by case, right?
Hmm.
But I think that as older that we are, most women that I talk to now that's in their 40s, they don't have kids that are really younger. And to do, I'm a kind of side eye because like, how you 40 plus years old and you have a 3 month old or something like that? I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? And you weren't married. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of weird to me. I know I'm a little judging a little bit, but that's kind of weird to me that you in your 40s and you have a newborn. And it's like, hold up, you in the streets already? That's kind
Not
of
back in the streets. Absolutely not. You're
you'll be shocked. You'll be shocked. It's kind of weird,
okay.
but it happens. But you
No,
have to
thank you.
you have to be mindful of the children's future, but also I would say if you do bring a guy around your kids and he has kids, it may work. But if you don't hear about his kids or see about his kids, that should be another red flag. But I'm gonna stop there because I might go down a little too deep. But I know I said a lot there, Toshiba. I know you want to jump in somewhere, so go ahead. No,
No, I think you have to set boundaries around who meets your children and when. I believe introducing your children too soon can be damaging to not only the children but to the relationship. Are you guys ready to take it there? So I mean, I feel like there's two schools of thought. It is the people will say, introduce your kids right up front in the beginning so that you guys can figure out if there's compatibility there. Do the children like the new partner? Does the new partner get along with the children? There's that school of thought. And then there's the other school of thought that says, until we're established, then I'm not going to introduce the children. And then there's me who's kind of in the middle, because if I am dating a man and his children's opinion of me is going to factor into how far the relationship goes, I don't want to give my time, attention, affection, and we're going on 6 months and I've tripped and fallen in love with you. And then I meet your children and your children don't like me. And all of a sudden, all of that 6 month investment is down the drain because somehow like we can't meet children, right? It is, and I'm not, and but I'm also not like, I don't want to meet them right in the beginning. So I feel like there is a balance that needs to be played. So I think also as the parent who's in that space, like, what criteria are you using to determine whether someone should be introduced to your children? And because I know that probably the man I'm going to marry is divorced, right? How long ago was the divorce? How fresh is this? Are they going to feel like I'm coming in to replace their mom? Are there some things that need to be handled? Do the kids need therapy before you introduce them to someone? I don't want my presence in their life to be damaging to the relationship they may have with their father, right? Like, I don't want the mother to be so bitter that she's saying things at home to them, and then when we're together, like, I'm saying, the kids are catching an attitude because they think, if you catch an attitude, I'm going to get you out of daddy's life and mom and dad can be back together. Like, there's so many things to play. Like, dating people with children is not easy. And like I said, my daughter's older. It's if I meet a man and he has a 25-year-old and I have a 24-year-old, yes, there's complications, but at this age, that big age, they have their own life, and my daughter just doesn't want to see me die alone, right? Like, that is my daughter's, like, please, somebody marry my mom, because for her life is moving, and for her, she does not want her mom to be alone. So as long as he's a good guy who treats me well, who's respectful, you know what I'm saying? When he meets her grandma, how respectful was he? How, when he met her, is it someone who's going to understand that me and her, my daughter's father, still have a relationship because we have a child together? And when, for anybody who's near her, I'm not talking about clearly intimate relationship. We haven't been intimate in 20 something years, but the fact that we have a child together, we are in each other's lives forever, as Cardi would say. So somebody who's not intimidated by the fact that I still have a relationship, because I want him to have a relationship with the mother of his children, because what is the point? Why did you have children with someone that you can't stand? Really weird to me, but that's just me. So I think that there's so much that factors in. And yes, it's a case by case basis, but I definitely think introducing too soon can be damaging, but introducing too late could have a bigger impact that maybe we're not thinking about. And Janolita, I would love to hear your thoughts. And Janolita saying risky in the beginning. Definitely risky in the beginning.
So one thing you said earlier is that you would hate to build a relationship with the guy, right? And then you meet the kids, and the kids don't really like you, and then
Don't like me.
So I never thought about that, but that's kind of risky there.
Exactly.
That's kind of risky. So
exactly, it is. I won't lie. That is one of my biggest fears. And as much as I think I'm great with children, um, at the end of the day, we also have to understand. And I know for a fact, like, again, I have certain criteria around the type of men that I will date. And I prefer a man who's been married and had his children in a marriage and all of those different things. So again, depending on when the divorce happened, the age of the children, all of these different facets, like, it may not even be about me at all. It's not about me. It's just what the children are going through because of the divorce, and also the type of mother that they have. Is this a mother who's in another relationship and so she's moved on? Is this a mother who the husband initiated the divorce and so she's still bitter and therefore that bitterness is going to be thrown at me? Was there some other issues again that have nothing to do with me, but here comes daddy's new girl? You know, I'm a lot like this is I'm a lot of Toshiba, okay? And then there are all of these things that happen, and I've now invested 6 months, 9 months into something, and he's like, I love you, but my children don't. Children hate you. The fuck? Now I'm 47 years old. Like I'm only getting older.
So I'll say this: I believe in this market, and also I like to disclaimer before having any these type of conversations. I don't speak in absolute. I might speak in most, but not absolute. Okay, get that out the way. So I'd like to say, yeah. Oh, so like I said, the comment they're risky because child is. Okay. Now, one thing I would say, or how I mean, I'll say this: it's kind of a double standard, right? For most men,
Okay.
for most men, I would say that we're not really out here to look to get a new mother, right? For our
Mm-hmm.
kids. Um, let me go back. Let me do one step back. It does depend on the age of the kids, right? If you're a man and you have a young children, so I don't know if either the mom passed away or something happened, she in jail or whatever.
Not
So
in jail. What? She in jail?
listen,
I'm sorry. Sorry,
listen,
sorry, girl. Sorry, be
in
serious.
most cases with men, it's very
She's
rare to see
in
most men who have their kids full time, right?
jail.
That's why get it together now. Bring it in.
She's in jail. Sorry, that tickled me. I'm tickled. I'm
Well,
sorry.
like I said, it's a double standard, right? Because in most men don't have the kids 24/7, right? Most men don't, right? So, like for me, I get my kids every other weekend. I get them every other Wednesday. Now, of course, during the week when it's sports, I see them all the time. Like for example, I see my kids Monday. If it didn't rain today, I just saw them today again, and then Saturday. So Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, and of course I get them that weekend. So I see them what 4 or 5 times, a week out 7 days. So regardless, but the point I'm trying to make it in most cases, most men they don't have the kids all the time either way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is a double standard for us. But for once again, I would for me the way I raise my kids, I wouldn't be looking for a mother for them, right? No. So that's one thing with most men. Not all, but most men. Most men they don't look for another wife. I mean, another mother. Maybe another wife. Yes, for sure. Right, another woman for companionship. So I would never put that on my kids to be like, "Oh, I don't like her." Oh, hold on. You don't have to like her.
Ooh, I
You just
appreciate that.
you just have to
To
respect.
respect her.
That's
Yeah.
it. And also, she
Yeah.
has to, of course, be nice to respect y'all as well.
Yeah.
But that's my woman. You know what I'm saying? So, and now she does something out of pocket. Let me know. Don't bite your tongue on nothing. I don't care what it is. You still my kids first. So I wouldn't have that problem where the kids don't like her. At this point, I don't give a damn if you like her or not. Your mom's over there.
And I appreciate that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I pray the man that I get involved with has that attitude, because I'm always going to be respectful. I'm always going to show up as my best self because I'm a mom myself. So I understand that, right? Like I've had 24 years of parenting, right? Like I've been a mom longer than I've for more than half of my life. I've been a mom. And so I completely respect and understand that. And I think if that was my situation, I would appreciate that, where it's just like, listen, my kids may not like you. And I think that's a reality. And it's a reality that we have to think about. However, I know that I have chosen the best woman for me. And yes, as long as you're respectful to my children and all of those things, because I think I've been in a situation where I was in a position where I was meant to be that person's mother, like that child's mother, right? Like, because they actually didn't have a mother. She was mentally unwell and was not part of the child's life, and I showed up, and the expectation was that I jumped in and I was mom. So I was with someone who did have custody of his child, and it was something that I had encouraged, and that created a lot of complications within the relationship. So what I always took away from that, and what I look at relationships with men with younger children now, is I'm not there to be a mother, but I am there to be your support as you parent your children, right? As you parent your child, right? I'm your support, I'm your guide. I don't want to be in a disciplinary role. I don't want to do any of that. I want to be your support as their mother's husband, whatever, her fiance, whoever, should also be the same. It is your job to parent the children, and it is my job to support you in parenting. And again, if I meet and marry a gentleman who has younger children, I can lend my advice and my support because I've been there, done that, having a 24-year-old, right? And so that's the situation I hope I end up in. But if I'm in a situation where a father's, okay, and I'm going to be honest, and I think you know this, so you won't take offense with it. I will never, ever, 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 ever date a father with daughters. Never, ever, ever, ever again. Why? Because I've been that daughter. I love my daddy. Rest in peace, daddy. Loved my daddy. Loved my daddy. My daddy walked on water. And I remember being a little girl and just being so obsessed with my father. And when my stepmom and my dad like broke up and they were like separated and a new woman tried to come in, I have memories of being a little girl and catching an attitude with this woman. I remember, this is back in the day. Remember, I'm 46 years old. I was born in the 70s and I was in Jamaica, and I have vivid memories of being in the front seat of my daddy's car. And for those of you young people, we were reckless. Okay, kids born in the 70s and 80s, our parents were reckless. Yes, we rode in the front seat of the car. We were 3 and 4 years old. There were no booster seats. There was nothing. We were risking life. So, okay, that's just how it was. So here I am in the front seat of a car, my daddy's car. My daddy has just have this big red car. I remember it. I'm just there with my daddy, and I remember this lady he was dating or fucking or whatever the hell my daddy was doing, because he was a hoe. Rest in peace, daddy. This woman comes to the car, and I guess I love my daddy, but he was a hoe. She comes to the car, and she was trying to get into the front, and I was like, no, what? I looked at my daddy like, what is she doing? I'm like, she's going in the back. I'm like, because I'm in the front. And I just know that never, ever, ever, ever will I date a man with young girls or teenage girls. It is just not for me. So I prefer actually dating men with boys.
Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think as adults and adulting, you should have some type of boundaries that you do have. And I'm kind of very similar as well. Like, for example, I wouldn't date a woman who has young daughters. That's
I feel you.
No. She needs to be a teen, preteen, you know what I'm saying? And yeah. And I'm not babysitting no girls, none of that, none at all. No. Nope. You're sent to her grandma, her cousins, or whatever. Not doing it. Sorry. Regardless. And it has nothing to do with the father of the kids. It's just a thing of that. It's a slippery slope. I do not want to be alone with no man's daughter.
I almost feel the same way. Listen, and I know that this is one thing I will say, because I'm always like, your previous experience, you need to get rid. I can tell you, in my previous experience dating a man and having to be in that position, I understand, again, as a daddy's girl, how manipulative we can be.
Come on now.
Like, I won't lie. Like, I was one of my daddy's favorites. Like, I'm one of God's favorite sinners. Okay. And I understand how manipulative little girls can be who are daddy's girl. There are too many stories, and I am like, I don't want any pieces of that. Now, I'm not saying that young boys are not like that. I have not had that experience to say that they are. I think for young boys, because my ex also had a son, and it was a very different situation. We didn't have custody of him, but the time that I did spend with him was very different than the time I spent with his daughter. And she knew how to like wrap her daddy around her finger, and I was like, "Are you not seeing what's going on here?" Like, and that really impacted our relationship. And I think, and then I'm curious to know, like, do you have any guilt? Because this is my question. Because again, I'm not in that situation, and I can tell you, the gentleman that I'm dating right now, who I care deeply about, if you're watching, um, he has two young boys, like two younger boys that are not my daughter's age, right? They're younger. I won't give their ages, but they're younger boys. And part of me is like, what boundaries do you put around the woman that you're dating, but what boundaries do you set with your children? Because you made a good point where you're saying to your kids, it's not about you liking her. I like her. I love her. This is potentially my future wife. But at the same time, if she does anything that, you find is disrespectful or whatever, we're going to address it. But it's like, what boundaries do you put around that relationship? What things do you put in place to ensure it never gets to a point where your relationship with your children or your relationship with your women is impacted by trying to create a blended family? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So as far as boundary, I mean, for me, and once again, I'm a guy, it's double standard. But my boundary would be is first off, I wouldn't talk to a woman that doesn't have. Well, it doesn't have to be a good relationship with their father, right? Not that part, but the father is in the kid's life, right? They know who the father is, X, Y, Z. So long as that is established, I'm cool with that. Secondly, the kids have to be around the same age as my kids, right?
Okay.
Maybe older, but not younger. So I told you, I have a 14-year-old this year, and I have a 12-year-old boy. So as long as they're in the same age group, cool, because they can all kick and have fun, be each other. I don't gotta be around there. All I do is call, hey, food ready, everybody come eat. You know what I mean? Like I don't gotta change. I'm not changing no diapers. So if your kid is that young, it ain't gonna work out. It's just not gonna work out. But I mean, of course, I want the woman, who do have kids and have around the same age. You know, I think it should be. I think it'd be great for blending families together, right? In a sense, but also, to see how she interacts with her kids and how my kids, all that matters. But once again, as a man, it's double standard. She don't have to come in and be disciplinary, mommy, XYZ. She can help me out, with certain things, maybe cooking, whatever, or, I'm doing this, they getting the kids together. That's different. But I don't need her to be mom point two. She's more of daddy. She's more of support to me. You know what I mean? Support me as I'm trying to handle the family thing when we go out and do certain things. So it's different. And once again, it's definitely a double standard for men. Because once again, I get my kids every other weekend, so I don't have them every day. So after my weekend, it's just me and that lady, XYZ, right?
Mm-hmm.
It may be her kid, but I don't have to interact with a kid like that besides maybe the basic stuff, food, cook, whatever. And then I'll tell you this too. And this technology that we didn't have back in the day. I have cameras.
Oh, that part.
I have cameras all through the house.
That part.
Hey, so, granted, I haven't had a daughter to really, another child's daughter, woman, whatever to worry about. But I do have cameras. So there's video, there's audio. So ain't none of that stuff, funny business going on. I mean, there's boundaries. You're not going to come in here in my room. In fact, I have no kids come in my room. Like, you come to the door. I don't care the door wide open. You will stop. You would think the door is closed. Hey, what's up? I don't play that. I'm old school. I don't do that.
Thank you. Listen, Linda. Listen.
This is my domain. You got the living room, you got your bathroom, and you got your bedroom. You don't need to be all in this space here.
That part. Listen. It's funny. I was telling a story actually just this morning to the guy I'm currently dating about kind of dealing with. It's funny, we started having this conversation. He had no idea that this was going to be the topic of the show, but I was talking about, some of the things that I saw that I knew from the beginning was going to be an issue with me and my ex around the boundaries he had set um, for his daughter. And one of them was, again, because I'm old school, I grew up in an old school Jamaican house. Okay. I have old school Jamaican values and rules because I was born in Jamaica. My daughter is first generation Canadian. But my stepdaughter was allowed to close her door. She was 10. Like, actually close her door. And her father, when he went to her door, would knock and wait for her to say, "Come in." Then one day, he is leaving her room and didn't close the door behind him, and all I heard is, "Daddy, you didn't close my door." And I said, "Hold on, hold on, hold on." I said, "Family meeting." I had a family meeting real quick. I pulled him aside. I said, "Listen, this ain't it. She don't own nothing in here. She don't pay no bills in here. That door will be open until we say it is not." I said, "The only time she's allowed to close her door is when she is going to bed and it's nighttime, and that is it. When she had a closet. When she needs to go change her clothes after she comes out of the bathroom, she goes into the closet, puts her clothes up. She closes that door. But to say, well, you need to close the door." So I will say, for me, that is another piece for me. How do you discipline your children? Because I understand that my old school way and traditional way isn't everybody's mode of parenting. And even though I agree with you, coming into a relationship, I'm not looking to necessarily be mom 2.0, but I would have an issue with dealing with children or a child who has disciplinary issues. So, how would you suggest tackling something like that?
Well,
Thank you, Janelita. Wasn't that a little different? That little girl was allowed to close the door in the house, talking about, "Daddy, Daddy, you need to close my door." The way that family meeting happened real quick, real fast. And she learned today that I was not the one or the two. But anyway, sorry. Go on.
are you good? Well, this will go back to our previous shows that we had before. How would we address that? First off, we will have our relationship. We need to be able to have a good foundation of communication, meaning that you can talk to me about certain things, I can talk to you about certain things, without it being attack on either side, right? Now, of course,
Okay.
you know, maybe not at that moment. We could pull it to the side, say, "Hey, I don't feel as comfortable, that she wants her door closed 24/7." Like, I kind of had that scenario where, she would call the kids and they couldn't hear her because the door was closed, whatever. And I'm like, if there's an emergency, I mean, there's a house on fire, they wouldn't come because they can't hear nothing. So I completely understand that. And like you just said, when the doors technically will be open unless it's someone showering and changing clothes, but that's it. Doors need to be open. You don't pay no bills around here, so I totally agree. But how to address this, I think just have the conversation. If we can't have a conversation that's beneficial to you and your kids and my kids, that's still, at the end of the day, it's our kids all together, right? If me and you are dating, we both got kids, your kids are my kids and my kids are your kids, right? I'm gonna treat them the same way, love them to XYZ, whatever. So I have the best interest for you and your kids. And I hope you had the best interest for me and my kids. We should be able to sit down and have a conversation like, "Hey, I don't think it's, we have to come to a compromise. Like, you know what, let's see that we can try this, because here's the reason why." Don't just say, "I want the door open because I want to." Okay, I get it, but you got to get a little bit more. Not because you want to. That sounds more controlling, right?
Hmm.
Controlling versus, "Well, I don't think it's safe. Kids shouldn't have that type of privacy. What what they do in their room." Now, of course, in the Black family, we don't have a problem with kids throwing bombs and stuff in their room. But that's a whole nother conversation on. But yes, in most Black homes, if you didn't know, sometimes it gets to the extreme that we just unscrew the doors off
The wall door come off.
yeah.
The wall door.
We
The whole door.
so if you wouldn't have a problem with your door being closed, we can handle that. I ain't gonna argue with you.
Take the hinges right off the door. Now all your business is out the door.
Now, guess what? You got
I'll
no
leave the
door.
notes door.
Now
Now you
what?
have the door. Thank you.
Right.
Well, Jane Alita makes a interesting point, and sorry, did I just I put it up and then I'd love to hear more about that. And as usual, everybody, if you're new here, I put the link in the comment section. So if you go into the comment section and you would like to join the conversation, you click the link, go backstage, and I will let you in. So Jane Alita says doors should be closed if the mother is not in the home, and that's an interesting perspective that I have never heard and I don't necessarily subscribe to, but I would love to hear more. Again, if you want to come in. Oh, okay, that actually is a good one. Once the trust is broken, then we remove the whole door. I actually did this. That I love. I used to threaten my daughter with this, and honestly, I have one of like my daughter is amazing. She made motherhood easy for me. But I used to tell her, I was like, if you try me, I will take the whole door off that entire doors because you don't own nothing in here. You don't have no privacy. You have no business, especially when you're under the age of 18. I'm responsible for you. Over the age of 18, I am a passenger in your life. So at this point, you break the law, that's on you. They ain't got nothing to do with me. Whatever you out there doing, that is on you. But 18 and under, I will take the hinges off the door and all your business out the door. You don't get no privacy to be doing what? To be doing to look, look, look.
What I would say to the previous comment about if the mother's not home, the door should be closed. I could understand that. I'm a, I'm not speaking for her. I'm just speaking of in that scenario what I look like as a guy who might talk to a girl. I'm sorry, talk to a woman who has young ladies, young girls as daughters, right? If for some reason she has to run out, go somewhere, I don't want no type of scenario to happen. Oh, he walked in by my room when I was getting dressed and he looked at me a little bit too long. I don't want none of that scenario.
Mhm.
I could understand that part where the doors should be closed, right? But what we're not going to do is sneak boys in the house neither at the same time. So, you know what I mean? So, excuse me. But that part I could understand. Like I said, I'm not speaking for her. I'm speaking for this woman that has daughters who have men, and maybe the men are home with the daughters. Like I said, it's a slippery slope. That's why I don't like talking to the girls who have
Young
daughters.
daughters. Yeah. And I get that. And Jane Alita, I respect that viewpoint. I don't necessarily agree with it and not in my house. Because I don't care, but I can get that perspective because some of that is from trauma that other people have experienced, right? Like if there are strange men in the house, I completely understand that. But if it's me, when it was me and her dad, absolutely not. Like it's her dad and me. There's no other man in the house. There's no uncle. There's no cousins. There's no. She doesn't get no goddamn privacy. You don't get privacy because your brain isn't even wired to understand what is happening in the world. So what do you need privacy from? What are you? My job is to protect you from the world. You don't even know what you need protection from. So what are you being private about? I have your phone code. I can get into your all of your devices. I know everything. There's no secrets. I will control what's on the TV. Now, again, I'm a very old school parent. Again, my daughter is 24 years old, and that's even a challenge for me. That is a challenge for me in terms of there's new ways of parenting now. And that is one thing I will tell you that was a challenge for me in my previous relationship that I tried to address is where I made him well aware of the fact I said, I don't actually have the tools that I need to be able to raise a child of now. And especially to raise a child who clearly has some issues that need to be addressed because I didn't deal with that, right? Like my daughter again at 24 was very different how I raised her, and I'm very Jamaican. Okay, I'm very Caribbean, and we parent with an iron fist and belt and other things. I did not beat my child, but I can't speak for my own life. But I understood that I needed particular tools and skills. So then that's another thing is, are you in a space where you're understanding that someone coming in, you guys have different parenting styles. And how do you address, again, because I'm going to give that question to you, twins, because you have younger children, you're potentially dating a woman with children around your same age. Coming in, are you discussing what does our parenting style look like? What if happens when we have a conflict? if something happens and all the kids are together and they're being punished, who's punishing what? And I don't mean punishes and beating, but disciplinary actions, right? Whether it's grounding them. how does that how does that work? Because I think that's the piece that becomes a little bit challenged when you're looking at the blending of the families.
Well, see, that's the problem. A lot of people don't have this conversation before they even get to that point, right? Once you are talking to another individual that has kids, you have to have that conversation about parenting. Because eventually, if y'all both are on the line together and y'all both want the same thing, which is a long future together, you need to have a conversation about parenting styles. How we gonna handle this if this happens? How do you handle your kids when they do X, Y, Z? Okay, this is how I handle my kids. Like you need to have. Sometimes you gotta do a role play scenario.
Hmm.
Scenario if this happens.
Hmm.
Oh, I don't know, because then right then that could be a deal breaker. Because at the end of the day, I'm not trying to tell somebody how to raise their kid, right? In a sense, I'm not trying to tell a parent how to raise their
Yep.
kids to a certain extent. But if we're in this house together, I gotta kind of agree of how your parenting work. So if you do one thing your way and I do one thing another way, there's gonna be a clash there.
Hmm.
It's gonna be a clash. And everyone's entitled to their own parenting style. So I'm not once again trying to tell you how to raise your kids, but if it doesn't line on how I see it will work out, or we can't compromise on it, then we should stop right there. See, we need to
And
have
do
these
you,
conversations. Go ahead.
and sorry, just to ask again, are you having these conversations before the children are introduced? Like my answer would
For sure.
absolutely be yes, but those are conversations that are being had in terms of like, again, if we're looking to bring these two families together, what are your parenting style? How do you deal with these situations? And then if it is that you find out that you guys have a conflict, is it the end? Or is it okay, we need to figure out a compromise between my style and yours?
I mean, the conversation needs to happen. Like before you get attached, feelings wise, I mean, like these things need to be hashed out before y'all even move forward to anything. You understand what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
that's the part people are failing to realize. You need to have the communication, conversation about parenting, and blending family before y'all even get serious. Which hell, before y'all even have sex.
Mhm.
If y'all have sex first without talking about parenting, then you already the relationship is already failed. So it's already a done deal. Because I'm telling you right now, everyone has their own way how to raise their kids, and
Mhm.
everyone who's a parent, and you can attest to this, ain't nothing worse than someone trying to tell you how to raise your kids,
That part.
especially if they have no kids. But
No.
the what? Oh, I wouldn't do that. Whoa, whoa, whoa! What I do over here, and then the conversation gets real heated very quickly. So
Mhm.
I would say before y'all even have sex, have the conversation about parenting. Because if they have kids living in the house with them, just there's no way to avoid that. You're gonna run across the kids eventually if you get serious. I do
Mhm.
my kids over the weekend, so yes, one of these weekends, whatever, I'll have my kids. Or vacation, I'll have my kids. And we need to have how we're going to navigate that. So that's something that needs to be part of the conversation and relationship. Something you need to discuss. I think the problem, people are so quick to have sex and do X, Y, Z, then fall in love with each other. And then the kids come in like, oh, you do that
That
with
part.
your kid?
That part.
Oh, I don't like that. Well, I don't care what you like. This is what I do. This is my kids. And then now we got an argument. You ain't gonna tell him raise my kid. One time I raise your kid. And once again, telling someone about the kids is very touchy.
Mhm. I
Trust me,
agree.
I've been there.
I love the idea when you talk about the role playing aspect of it, because I think I will say that was something that I failed at in my last relationship, right? It wasn't, we didn't talk so much about the parenting styles until we were thrust into it. And I realized we have very, very different parenting styles, and really trying to blend those parenting styles together. And it was definitely a challenge. So I love that. And please, yeah, I'm going to make sure I clip that and put that out there. If you guys, for those of you who are watching, make sure you share the show for people who are trying to blend families, because these conversations are vitally important, especially at, again, our big age, and I want to get your thoughts around this because this is something that I know is important to me. And in my current situation with the person I'm dating, we've touched on this. So, what are your thoughts about your partner meeting your co-parent before being introduced to the children? So, I think one of the things that for me would be important is I want to ensure that I meet the mother of his children, right? His ex wife, not even just the mother of his children. If we're going to take this seriously, I want to sit down. I want her to know who I am because I also want to understand. Because again, as much as I'm not coming in as mommy 2.0, just because his parenting style is the same way and he sees things the same way doesn't mean it's necessarily aligned with what she's doing in her house, right? And so having that upfront, very adult conversation in terms of this is the new woman in my life, and of course she's going to be around her children, and doing that introduction is important. How important do you think that is? Do you think that should happen more often? Is it something that should wait until the children are introduced? What are your thoughts around that? Because again, you're in that situation.
So I would say I believe that is a very mature thing to do. And I think it's a pretty awesome thing to do. Right. Now, it's going to be very challenging because everyone is not mature enough,
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying, to handle that. So the first step will be is how serious is the relationship, right, with the other person? Because you just can't bring, just like I said before, you don't want to bring every woman as a guy. You don't want to bring every a bunch of women around your kids all the time. So same thing. I don't want to keep bringing 100 exes to my ex-wife to introduce her.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
oh, a new one. How long you gonna be here?
Oh
Okay,
no.
that's one. I'm just
Oh
saying.
no.
So so you have to be very strategic how that part goes. I think if the couples, if they're like engaged or leading to marriage, XYZ, and they've been around the kids and they have a good rapport with the kids, and I mean, y'all two are serious about each other, then I think that's something that should definitely happen. Is that you should meet the ex-wife or ex-husband and have a sit-down, grown conversation, like, hey, because I'm here. You know what I'm saying? As the woman,
That's the part. I'm here. That would be my biggest thing. Like I exist.
yeah.
I'm here. And I would not be doing that because I'm sorry to cut you, but for
No, you
me, I'm not putting out that type of energy for a man that I'm not serious about. I'm not sitting down with anybody's ex-wife if we're just casually dating or fucking. Like that's just not even a space that I want to be in. If I'm doing this, it's because I see that I have a place in this man's life and I want to ensure that we are, because again, you're blending families. And I think when people think, and this is a piece that I need people to understand, when you're discussing blending families, you're not just talking about the two people in the couple, in the relationship. We're talking about everybody who was involved in the parenting of those children. So, yes, it means ex wives, it means ex husbands, or as you Americans like to call baby daddies and baby mamas, okay? And I call my child's father of my child, right? Like it involves all of that, especially when the kids are young. Because here's the thing, people, our babies are watching us. Our babies form their relationships with love, with the concept of love, with how they see their parents love each other, how they see their parents love on the other people after divorces, and how their parents love them. And if you're in a situation, because I do not care how contentious, it doesn't fucking matter. I have to be honest, it does not matter. I don't care how bad your relationship, for the sake of these children that you had, it is important that you have some type of a semblance of a decent relationship so your children are not traumatized by the adult decisions that you make. And so for me, my biggest thing is again, I'm at this big age, I've raised my child. And so if I'm coming into your life and you are in the midst of still raising yours, I would not feel comfortable being a woman in your life if I haven't had an opportunity to have, like you said, an adult conversation with your ex-wife or the mother of your child because we're on some petty ish. I'm not there. I'm 46 years old. I'm way too grown to be doing this. And I also cannot be in a relationship with a man who can't make that happen. Because now I already see there's conflict, there's issues. Like, this is when I start thinking, okay, so then who knows what's going on when the kids are at the mom's house and what she's saying about, oh yeah, your dad's girlfriend is like, I just don't want that. I want it to be where if there is an issue and say she's trying to reach him and she's not, and it's an emergency, she can call me and be like, hey Toshiba, I can't reach X. Something's going on with the kids. Or do you understand what I'm saying? Like, that is the type of co-parenting relationship I require at this stage in my life, because I've had it the other way. And I'm telling you, it is not good for building a strong relationship.
That's the yeah, definitely clip that. That's a good one right there. For real, because that's real. And the one thing that Jay said in the comments, right? If the mother, has
Oh,
the
missed
mother
it.
has to want to meet the other parent as well too. And once again, that just takes that's maturity on both levels. You know what I'm saying? Like the ex-wife, like it's I'm always for case study. I'm always going to use myself. So for me, yes, my ex-wife has to be open and mature enough
Mhm.
to be like, hey, and I see that you and your girlfriend or your lady, whatever it is, like she doesn't be petty at that point. But I see y'all getting serious, and of course I see that she's around our kids, so I would definitely like to meet her, and hopefully she's open to like if she's open for that, cool. And I'm vice versa. I'm have no problem when sit down, have a man to man talk about X, Y, Z. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not here to battle you or be the better dad or I'm not trying to take the title from you. I'm just here to help out, be the additional support. You know what I'm saying? Like it'd be nice to be like, hey Dwayne, I can't make it to pick the kids up. I mean, I could take them, but can you pick them up or something like that? Man, sure, man, I'll go and grab the kids. It's all love, bro. Boom, 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 boom. That's it. It ain't ego. It ain't nothing like that. It's all about the kids, right?
All about the kids.
All about the
Like,
kids.
that is the center of it, because I come from a space where it takes a village. I saw that in my own life. For anyone who's new here, I'm actually the product of an affair. My mom and dad had an affair, and that's how I was born. But I was actually raised in a nuclear family for the first part of my life, for the first 5 years of my life, with my dad and my stepmom and my two sisters from their marriage. And the only reason that was only for the first part of my life is that my stepmother emigrated to the United States. And when she emigrated, it left me with just my dad until I was actually sent to Canada, where I live now, to be with my biological mother. And my stepmother and my mother to this day still speak. When my father passed away in 2022, those women shared a room together. I went to their room and they were kikiing and cacaing. So me, the product of an affair, who essentially broke my stepmother's heart because her husband cheated on me and became my father, still, my mother and her still were able to be mature enough to put me at the center of it and understood that I was innocent and what that meant. So for me, seeing that and understanding that and growing up in that, there is no way that I'm not able to sit with anybody's ex-wife, because I watch my two mothers love on each other and loved on me. And for me, like, neither one of my mothers have ever said in my 46 years of living a bad word about my father. And he was a flawed man. He was a great daddy, but he was a very, very flawed man. Hello, I'm here. So we know he was a flawed man. And me witnessing that and watching that, and in some ways experiencing that, because my husband had a baby outside of our marriage, and I brought that baby into our home and loved it. If I can do that, there is no way I cannot sit with a man's ex-wife to ensure that we are all on the same page about how we're going to raise these babies, because they're the only things that matter, and we are too grown especially those of us here who are in our 40s, we are too grown not to be able to put our petty feelings aside to ensure that we are raising children in the best environments we possibly can. So I am not willing to put myself in a situation with a man who cannot have a cordial relationship with the woman he chose to have children with. Because when you marry a woman, you've chosen her. When you get her pregnant, you've chosen, like, this is the woman who's going to be the mother of my children. And so that is important to me because I've seen how, despite me and my daughter having our daughter very young, we were too young to even be thinking about being parents and having to go through trial and error to figure it out. Once we did, we were able to raise this amazing, beautiful, well rounded child together. And I know what that takes. And I can't be in a situation, never again, where that's not the focus of the relationship is how do we ensure that we raise the best possible children? And telling you, two, you know what I'm saying? Two really great households is definitely better than one broken one, that I will say. But even if you've broken your other household, let's try to figure a way that both of them are healed so these babies get to see all of that love so that they carried into their relationship. Anyways, I just had a moment, but this is very important to me.
I would just like to add on to that. We're gonna be realistic here on this show as well too. You know what I'm saying? Let's be realistic. So I will say this too, and this could be like a dating tip as well. But we do understand, during some breakups or some divorces, right? The parties may not get along right away, right? So I'll say try to give a grace period, right?
Hmm.
I'll say minimum 5 years since the two has separated, right? After that 5 years, and I'm not saying that you need to be part of that for 5 years. I'm just saying from the date that them two stop talking, divorced, separated, XYZ, if 5 years have passed and they still are knocking heads to each other, can't get along, right? Like y'all separate when? It's 2026, right? So y'all separated 2021 and y'all still can't get along? That might be a relationship that might not be healthy for you if you're someone who's trying to talk to either one. Because if 5 years separated and they still can't get along, that might not be a healthy relationship to be in as well as for yourself as well too. Because what happens when
Hmm.
you have a child XYZ? If he can't get along with his ex, what makes you think you're different? Like, you know what I'm saying? Woman, no, you're not gonna be different. You're gonna be the same category. Whatever he did to break up the family XYZ, you're gonna be the same way, and you can't get along. So let's not do that. So there might be a little dating tip, but there's something to think about because I know when I first got divorced, I was like, I'll never get married again. XYZ. Nah, I didn't hate her. I didn't. For me, I didn't hate her. I just did. The mindset was I wasn't never getting married again. That was my first
Hmm.
mindset. And a lot of women I've talked to, they like, oh yeah. And I talked to them now. Oh, you changed. Yeah, I was mad. You know what I'm saying? I had moments. You know what I'm saying? But I'm good now. I'm back. I'm healed. Whatever I did what I need to do. So I'm ready to get married again. But at the same time, I still had a good open relationship with my ex-wife all the time. Like I said, I see her all the freaking time because our kids have sports. My son, he plays soccer. My daughter did cheerleading at one point. So I've definitely seen my kids almost every day. So you cannot not see me. You know, instead of what I'm saying.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, but yes, but it's very important that you have to establish that boundary. So once again, I'm being realist because I know some people, some husbands or some wives are still upset, mad, XYZ. They still want the wife back or they still want to be controlled. So be mindful of that too. Because once again, we don't speak in absolute. But I'm just saying, just give it time. And if sometimes you can't, unfortunately you can't have that sit down with the husband or to sit down with the ex-wife to about the children because they just not mature enough, the other person. You know, understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I completely get that. I'm
I'm
going to
just,
get to what Mackie Samuels also said.
yeah.
They said lots of people try to avoid getting into blended families. It's a lot of work and some people don't want a Brady Bunch family. And if that is the attitude, absolutely don't do it. It is it is difficult. It is difficult bringing two families together. I don't think any of us who go into marriages are getting into marriages to be divorced. Like, it's just not something that we do. Like, I didn't get into my marriage to think one day I'm going to be divorced and I have to do this again. At all, right? So I think if you understand yourself, then you definitely want to avoid any situations. And on this show, we always encourage, have your children within your marriage, right? That is the way to go. And even then, as Twins has talked about, even then, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work. But again, if you have set a very good foundation of friendship, respect in there, you can still have that after a divorce. And for me, I think one of the things that I would even suggest is that you seek counseling. Seek counseling. I think a lot of people do counseling and therapy as a reactionary thing, right? It's very reactive, it's not proactive. And blending families is not to be taken lightly. And so I think that as a couple, I think it would be interesting to have a pre-counseling sessions, especially again, I think in my situations, it's important because I've been there, done that. I've raised my child. No man has to come in and be daddy. Even when she was younger, she had a dad. She didn't need a second dad, but she's older now. It's very, very different. But I know if I'm with someone who's got younger kids, I may not be equipped with the tools that I need to raise a child today. I raised a child in the early 2000s, in the 2010. This is now 2026. So I would want to be upfront with my partner and say, I want to make sure that we have some pre-counseling so that I'm equipped to help you navigate raising a child in this era. Because just because you've been a parent before and just because you've parented your child a certain way doesn't mean that those skills will apply to these set of kids or this family, right? So I think we have to be mindful, and we talk about this on the show all the time, and we're going to wrap up shortly. So thank you for those who are new here and have joined us. We do, in our last part, you've just kind of heard Twins say, we do dating tips, marriage tips, and relationship tips. So if you have any, please feel to put them in the chat. But I think, one of the things we've talked about on the show over and over again is communication. And let's stop having sex before we're communicating. There's a lot of sex happening and not enough communication. And I think I really was glad when Twins brought up this topic. Twins.
Message.
I heard you. Right? Okay. Because I'm like, there's a lot of sex happening, lots of sex happening, and people are not talking about this. Like, we are adults. And if you don't have these critical conversations, guess what? It's going to be rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat. And one thing I will tell you is I'm way too old to be starting and stopping my life. I am not at this stage. I am not out here waving I'm single, independent, and free. This shit sucks. I don't want to be out here on these streets. I just don't want to be casually dating. It is not even in my nature of who I am. And so when I am considering a serious relationship with someone, I want to be able to talk about everything with them and understanding that I am going to definitely end up with a man with kids, whether that's older or younger, because even when you have older kids, there can still pose some issues because you still have a family that needs to be blended. So I think these conversations really need to happen before you start getting too serious, because a lot of us are breaking our own hearts because we are absolutely not in a position where we are having serious conversations. And I see the comments, lots of uneducated ejaculation. I am done. I had to put that out. Lots of uneducated ejaculation is probably one of the best comments I have ever seen on this show. That is actually funny. Sorry, that is actually very, very fun. But it's true. We are out here having sex without having real conversations about what life could be like. So if you take away anything from the show, and again, like, share, subscribe, make sure you like the show. before you leave, make sure you subscribe if you haven't subscribed, because these are the real topics that we are talking about. When I created this show, I wanted to change the conversation around Black relationships, because I knew by having these discussions, it meant better, stronger Black families. And that is paramount to me, because despite the dysfunction that I just told you, many people thought that I was raised in so much love and support and guidance and respect. And Jane Alita even said earlier, after I told my stories, like, big respect to my moms. Absolutely. I salute those two women to be able to be in a space that, despite how I was brought into this world, I never was devoid of love. There was no anger, there was no nothing. I was raised in so much love. It was incredible. I felt like I had too much love at some point. And for me, that told me everything I needed to know about the type of relationships I wanted to have. I wanted relationships that were led by love. And that's important for me. Any relationship that I'm in, I want it to be led by love and not hate. So my relationship tip for tonight is communicate. When you are in this dating stage, it is the best time for you to determine whether this person is someone that you want to have in your life for the long haul. And if you're like myself and twins, we are very intentional about the people we bring into our lives, because we understand that we have more years behind us than we potentially have ahead of us. And therefore, when you are in this stage, especially in talking to those of you who are in your 40s or in your late 30s, and definitely those of us, in our 50s, it's to really communicate, put it all out there, talk about everything that you need to know before committing to this person. And quite frankly, if you find out that there's something that you simply cannot live with, please let that person go. Do not string them along. And especially when they have children, do not introduce your children to someone you know you can't be serious with, because at the end of the day, that has a psychological impact on your child or your children, and it is your job as a parent to protect their psyche. So that is my relationship advice. Twin.
That was a good one right there.
I do what I can.
Ladies and gentlemen, I gotta follow that. I gotta follow that one right there.
I do what I
That's a good
can.
one. I would like to, give another dating tip too. I already said one earlier, but I'm gonna say two. So, I will say, it's very important during the dating process. If we're really dating with a purpose, right? Like, understand early before kids even get involved. And I'm not saying making kids. I'm talking about if you have kids before you even introduce the kids or everything like that. Make sure you have that conversation. Understand that, is this someone that's going to be for a season or is it for long term? Because if they're here for a season, then we don't got to talk about kids. We can just do us, bam, 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 whatever it is, and then you be on your merry way. You never got to meet my kids. You understand what I'm saying? But if we make it to that level where you might meet my kids, we need to have a good, very serious conversation. And, and like I said, role play. I mean, I think you should role play in all areas, especially
Amen.
role play conversations regarding the kids and how we're going to handle this, because that will be an argument. Trust me,
Hmm.
there's no avoiding it. You will have an argument. The first time you will say, I think you should, don't tell me about my kids. Oh, okay. If that's said, then guess what? You're too late. You
Hmm.
messed up. It's too late now. You ain't here now. Now you got to figure it out. Now you got to hash it out. So date with a purpose. And if you have kids, have the conversation on parenting styles. And that's my
Love it.
night.
I love it. Thank you, everybody. We had a full house. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Again, if you're new here, like, share, subscribe, share this with your friends. Come back. I am always open to having people on the show. So if you're interested in being on the show every week, I put the link in the comment section, but you can also email me at fyftheshow@gmail.com. Again, I created this show to change the conversation on Black relationship. And if you took anything from this show, please, I ask you to comment in the comment section, because it will help other people find the amazing conversation that we're having.
And also, We need to put out what's that? What's that thing you go looking for people for Mister? I haven't seen him in a couple of weeks. Where he at?
I know, right?
Yeah. So we need to put a PFA, PFO.
We're at the PSA. We got to put a bolo on top of that to be like, where you been?
Yeah. So if anybody know Mister, let him know. We looking for him because we miss him.
We definitely. I'm actually gonna. I'm gonna find his email and email him because I definitely haven't seen him in a couple of weeks. So
but we do. But I do appreciate everyone who tapped in tonight, who liked, comment, share, subscribe. Appreciate the conversation. Appreciate the dialogue. Come back next week. Like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend who also is going to tell a friend. If you got kids, this might be a good show for them to introduce them to the show and tell them
amen.
their feelings.
Hallelujah. Tambourine hand. So thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Sleep well and have a great weekend. We will see you next